Okay, next is Department of Developmental Services. We have 13 issues. So issue number 1 is headquarters restructuring and reorganization. We're going to approve, recommendations approved as budgeted. Issue number 2, federal claims reimbursement system project. The recommendation is to approve the funding for 2019-20 only and adopt placeholder budget bill language on additional cost scope, schedule and scope information to be provided in stages 3 and 4 of the PAL process as part of the proposed 2020-21 budget. Issue number 3, safety net facilities and crisis services. The recommendation is to approve as budgeted and also approve a proposed trailer bill language related to safety net facilities and acute services. Let's see here. To approve placeholder trailer bill language to do the following. To require the department to update its safety net plan to be provided with the January release of the 2021 budget, to align IMD admission criteria, post-admission oversight and process for judicial review with the laws governing placements in state-operated acute crisis settings, and to notify the client rights advocate when an individual is placed in a restrictive setting. So that's issue number 3. Issue number 4, HCBS final rules site assessments. The recommendation is to approve as budgeted and also approve placeholder trailer bill language to ensure that California implements the new HCBS rules consistent with federal requirements. Issue number 5, foster youth trauma-informed systems of care, spring finance letter, approved as budgeted. Issue number 6, crisis homes for children, recommendations to approve placeholder language per the governor's proposal. Issue number 7, specialized caseload ratios for regional centers, approved placeholder language per governor's proposal. Issue number 8, May revision adjustments, and we are recommending the following actions in regards to those adjustments for Department of Developmental Services. So a population and staffing adjustment, approve as proposed. Budget, early start co-payments, approve as proposed and approve related trailer bill language. Family home agency oversight, approve as proposed. Specialized home monitors, approved as proposed. Caseload and utilization adjustment, approved as proposed. Provider rate adjustment, reject the sunset date and approve on an ongoing basis. Uniform holiday schedule suspension, reject the sunset date and permanently repeal the uniform holiday schedule. And Best Buddies, approve as proposed. Issue number 10, regional center transparency and accountability. The recommendation is to adopt placeholder trailer bill language to address other transparency and accountability issues, including required the department through the Developmental Services Task Force to identify and track key indicators of the regional center's systems delivery of services, as well as a plan for reporting of best practices and recommendations for measuring and improving consumer outcomes. The department should provide these indicators, best practices, and recommendations in a report to the legislature. Require each regional center to post specific information on compliance with the federal home and community-based services final rule on its website. Require the department to annually update the legislature on specific information on the filing and resolution of complaints and fair hearing requests filed with each regional center. Required the department, each regional center, to include a link to the Protection and Advocacy Agency and Client Rights Advocate in a standard location on the website. Required the department to post all new directives issued to regional centers on its website. Required regional centers to provide a list of agreed upon services and supports to consumers at the conclusion of an individual program plan meeting. And required the regional centers to post specific policies, guidelines, protocols, and assessment tools on their website. Issue number 11. The enhanced behavioral supports homes sunset extension, approved as proposed. Senate issue number 12, vendor rate reform. Senate proposal includes recommendation is to approve placeholder trailer bill language requiring departments to submit a plan for statewide rate reform, considering the recommendation of the rate study and impending HCBS final rules with stakeholder input by January 10th, 2020, with a plan beginning implementation date no later than January 2021. Repeal the half-day billing policy. Approve placeholder trailer bill language to allow vendors in areas where the local minimum wage is higher than the state minimum wage access to rate adjustments associated with state minimum wage increases. Permanently repealed the uniform holiday schedule, as mentioned before. Restore social recreation and camp services. Adopt placeholder trailer bill language to implement this change. And approve the May revision proposal for a provider rate adjustment, but eliminate the proposed sunset, as previously mentioned. Issue number 13, codify DDS quarterly briefings. The recommendation is to approve placeholder trailer bill language to codify departmental briefings in statute. So those are the 13 issues, extractions.
Please, Mr. Chair, if you could pull issue number 4.
Issue number 4, thank you.
And I'll move the balance.
Okay, so we're at issue number 4 has been extracted of issues 1 through 13. It's been moved by Senator Stone. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Pan?
Aye.
Senator Hurtado?
Aye.
Senator Stone?
Aye.
Okay, those are out 3-0. Issue number 4, HCBS final rule site assessments. Is there a motion? Okay, move approval. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Pan?
Aye.
Senator Stone? Or Senator Hurtado? Senator Stone?
Okay, that's out 2-0. And I understand there's a motion. Senator Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I can make an additional motion under the Department of Developmental Services, the motion is to request the subcommittee adopt an augmentation of $216 million in general fund to fund an 8% provider rate increase in all rate categories for purchase of services and community-based programs effective July 1st, 2019, except for those service categories that would receive a rate increase under the governor's May revision proposal. The rate increases would be in place until the Department of Developmental Services implements its comprehensive solutions resulting from its rate study approved by the legislature with consultation and input from appropriate stakeholders.
Do you mind? Okay. All right. Is that 216 million? Okay. Thank you.
You keep it.
We are trying to check on the amount of that. Okay, so just to clarify, okay, so the motion is for a 8%, okay, rate, 8% provider rate increase in all rate categories for purchase except for those service categories that receive a rate increase under the governor's May revision program. Okay,
I'd like you to make it the higher of whatever staff determines, and at a minimum, what the amount is that I've put in the motion, if that is
okay, no, that was
a clarification.
Did you want to say anything about the motion before?
Sure. I think I've talked a lot about this over the past 4 years. So we've had a lot of contractors providing essential services for our developmentally disabled, and frankly, they were hit during the Great Recession. We have not increased those rates. We have a provider study that's taken a couple of years, which are going to hopefully give them the fees that they need and deserve. And this is just a temporary show of goodwill to show that we appreciate their services until we can fully define what those rate increases will be, and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the motion, Senator Stone. I would want to, first of all, point out that we are, well, obviously we have also just adopted, actually, for our subcommittee, several increases for to address these issues. I also want to clarify that, so as I read the motion, that so basically that's for services that are not recommended for the increase by the governor. So yes, we have the governor's increase, and actually we do intend to look at the rate study. I think I've mentioned to both you and Senator Hurtado, we're looking at, in terms of the rate study, we are looking at proposing in terms of being sure that we have an informational hearing to follow up on the rate study, because I think what we see is that there's sufficiency. Now, this proposal isn't quite, in the structure that we have proposed, but certainly I think, we've heard from folks, and certainly appreciate the need that's there. And I know that Senator Hurtado has spoken to that, and you have spoken to that, and I also recognize that as well. And I appreciate you bringing up the motion. I think Senator Hurtado, did you want to make a clarification? Clarification.
Yes. So what about well, actually, I'd like to make a substitute motion for 8% across the board, except where there is a greater increase, but leaving it up to the final budget.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what I hear, because I think your motion, that's why I was trying to figure out the motions here.
So my motion was that the governor gave, and may revise,
right, he gave
4 categories that he increased by more than 8%, and he didn't increase the other services that many of which are very important. I said, let's raise the balance up 8% just to close the gap.
So, because I'm not sure whether the governor's proposal actually raised everyone, even the focused one, at least 8%. And I see LAO shaking their head. So your motion is to be sure that everyone at least has an 8% increase, even for the areas where the governor proposed an increase. So I think that's the clarification. Okay, so we want to be sure everyone gets at least a minimum of 8 increase, because even the areas where the governor proposed, which we did adopt, not necessarily 8%. Okay, yeah, I got some nods here. Okay, so good. So we want to be sure we catch the right thing. Okay, so let's go. All right, so why don't we go ahead and move Senator Hurtado's motion, which is a minimum 8% increase across the board, right? I just want to be sure I got your motion correctly, with minimum 8%, and of course, if there's a greater than 8%, we are going to, this proposed by our previous actions that we just took and the governor, then that increase, of course, will, in excess of 8%, would, of course, continue to be approved. Okay. All right. We're all good? All right. We clarify. Okay. Good. So we'll take up the motion by Senator Hurtado. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Pan?
Aye.
Senator Hurtado? Aye. Senator Stone?
Aye. Thank you.
Okay. We have passed that out 3-0, and we will cross our fingers.